you will be happy if you just move on already. And I know that's easier said than done, but please understand that you're going to experience things in reality that are not your first choice. This is a law of reality, and there's literally nothing you can do to stop this. And in this video, you will learn how to stop writing the lows and the highs and find yourself simply living in your desired state, no matter what reality brings you. Now, as you can see, I think this image portrays a very telling symbol of where you're at and where you're headed to. On the left side, you can see that it's dark. You know, that just obviously represents darkness. But the man is walking into the light. This is a new era. This is a new version of yourself where you're finally leaving the things that do not serve you and finally entering in the things that do serve you, which in this video you're going to realize and learn that the law of polarity states that there's an equal opposite. But the point of understanding this is not that there are two sides to the same pole, but there's the middle. And being in the middle keeps you neutral. So it's not that you're looking for the highs or you're looking for the lows, but you simply are just existing and have an idea of what you want for yourself, and that's all that really is. You understand that there's the negative and the positive, but you're never trying to chase or focus on one, because you realize if you focus on one, you're going to find yourself on the opposite end, and it's like a pendulum. You're just going to continue to find the same shit, and you're never going to remain in a place where you're just that. You're like Buddha. You're like Jesus. You're just absolutely chilling. And that's the essence of being a brother, is being able to remain peaceful no matter what's going on in your life. So you got caught up in a relationship. Maybe you lost your job. Your car broke down. Simply put, you're down fucking bad right now. And it's okay. Please understand, brother. It's okay. Your life is going to continue to move forward. And I do find comfort in knowing that, you know, it's a very, 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 very common thing for humanity to find themselves in this situation. So you're not the only one. Kind of a side note is, I think, you know, America's or Western countries, we've been created to be like narcissistic in a lot of ways, where we hyper focus on ourselves and think that we're the only one dealing with the things that we're dealing with, when in reality, this is a across the board experience for every single person to experience really shitty things, or they're hyper fixating on the positive things, which leads them to the negative. And I feel like if you stop being narcissistic and you think about other people for the first time, or you think about life outside of yourself, things become easier, and there isn't such an emphasis on your importance and the things that you need to do and this and that. Side note, but back to the video. You are running in circles, feeling betrayed by God, cursing everything and anything as to why you're going through what you're going through. And this is where it gets messy. A day goes by and you feel upset. Then a week goes by and you feel angry. A month goes by and you feel abandoned. And finally, a year goes by and you are numb. At this point, you're just fucked. Simply put, you're fucked. And that's an unfortunate truth that a lot of people find themselves in, is that they are just simply numb. But brother, relax. You're about to change absolutely everything. It worked for me. It's worked for many others. If it can work for us, then why can't it work for you? Seriously, like, think about that. If other people are living the life that you want to live, then why can't you do it too? If they can do it, then you can do it too. The law of polarity states that everything has an equal opposite, and these opposites are simply different degrees of the same thing. For example, the cold doesn't go away, it's just that more heat is added. Certain sounds don't go away, they just change the vibrational rate in which they are expressed, but it's sound nonetheless, or it's temperature nonetheless. It's all the same, experienced in different states. Without a positive and negative charge, batteries are useless, okay? The most important thing to understand about the law of polarity is that when you participate in this law, you'll be forced to each side. And like this pendulum swing that you can see in this image, where you're being, what is the term called? Mind controlled? There's a term, I'm completely having a massive brain fart right now. I forget what it's called. Yeah. But you know the symbol, where you look into the symbol and you just get sucked into this vortex, and then you're doing things that you typically wouldn't do. When you're operating in the law of polarity, you're either sucked into the negative or you're sucked into the positive. But when you're so negative, or when you're so positive, you gaslight, and this becomes negative. But when you're in the negative, you force yourself to see the positive. But in either case, you're on one side, but then you always go to the other side. And this is a never ending cycle that you cannot get out of. Now, the ancient masters, in accordance to the law of polarity, always state that everything is but a half-truth. In other words, reality in of itself is neither for or against you, it just is. The only thing that makes you stuck is your allegiance to your lived experiences. Let me say that again, because I really, this whole spiritual space is filled with, and I get it, everyone's on their spiritual journey. They have to go through the same process that every single human goes through in regards to enlightenment. The only thing that makes you stuck is your allegiance to your lived experiences. People say they understand this stuff, but please, brother, please, as someone, as yourself trying to become a better leader, I really need you to listen, and I really need you to actually think and audit yourself if you are doing this or not. Because if you are not, you're a copycat. You're not actually someone who's doing the things that gets shit done. So why I'm kind of highlighting this is because for a long time I understood the idea of having allegiance to my past, in regards to either cold approaching girls or making money or jujitsu or having anything related to not having the desired outcome that I wanted. And I said I wasn't thinking from the past, or I wasn't creating from the past. When in reality, every single night I would think about the past. Every single time I would try to go approach a girl, I would be thinking about like rejection, even though I've never really actually been rejected in my life. But I would always think about these negative past experiences that I've lived. And only up until this past year, like last year, kind of this year, really so lately, I've internalized this statement. The only thing that makes you stuck is your allegiance to your lived experiences. Whatever situation that you're going through right now, if you find yourself in this position all the time, it's because you are constantly holding allegiance to these outcomes. That is it, man. If you can really have the self-mastery and the desire to self-improve, audit yourself. Are you allegiant to these negative experiences? If so, this is where the work lies. Brother, understand this, and you'll always have a reason to be happy. Because when you realize that all your actions, everything about your life stems from your past lived experiences, then you get to work on something, or you get to create new past experiences that can reshape the way you view situations, events, people, whatever it is. Throughout the ages, there have been many terms to explain the same thing. The subconscious, the imagination, the psyche, the Akashic records, the higher self are all pointing to the very foundation of your living experience. Everything that is taking place in reality comes from the part of yourself that is not present, conscious, aware of the present tense moments. Brother, you have been stuck on heartbreak and find yourself listing off all the reasons why you're better off with them or without them, or how they suck. But you do not realize that you're telling your subconscious mind that you are not worthy, that you're better off single, that relationships equal pain. Pace whatever the narrative, the voice is telling you, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be that you're not worthy or relationships equal pain, but there's something there that's keeping you from having quality relationships. For me, it was the idea of not being enough for a partner, that I need to make more money, that I need to be more masculine. Just these toxic masculine traits, really. Or maybe not. I guess insecure masculine would probably be a better way. And that's finally over in my life. Copy and paste what it is for you, okay? However, you should be expressing freedom and possibility for what's actually meant for you, not what's against you. Again, you should be expressing freedom and possibility for what's actually meant for you, not what's against you. Or you've been stuck on getting fired and find yourself cussing out your boss because that's just the best thing to do in that situation, not owning up to the fact that you actually sucked at your job. Now, what you're telling your subconscious mind is that you don't actually need to do good work and things should be handed to you, when this is literally the last thing that will get you what you want. I can't stand guys like this. Please, for the love of God, you should be taking full ownership and seek to excel at whatever job is presented to you or created by you, for the mere fact that you hold deep respect for your ability to live well and to do good work. Personally, a little bit about my life. Me and my brothers, you may have seen the painting shirts in my recent videos. We own a painting company. I have managed over $1.6 to $7 million right now in revenue. Dude, fuck. There have been problems that could have been avoided really, really easily if I had only taken more ownership in my lack of accountability in regards to SOPs. If I were to simply follow systems, standard operating procedures, dude, holy shit. Our jobs would have gone faster. The jobs would have been produced at a higher quality. Clients would have been happier. Money would have been produced faster. The list goes on of things that could have been done better. But I didn't have respect for myself, ultimately, because why else would I be slacking if I didn't respect myself, purely based out of the idea of living a good life and doing good work? Because now, after 1.6 million in revenue, and I think we're probably, I think we're at 1.8 million, 1.9 million now in revenue. I have a much deeper admiration for myself and for my partners. Literally, last year was our first real year in business. We're only in our second year of business. And it's such a mind trip to think about, not last year, but the year before and the year before, to think about where I was and where my brothers were at in their lives. We weren't living near each other. We weren't working together. We were all working jobs that we didn't really ultimately like. We were just kind of floating through life. But now, as we've taken full ownership and seek to excel at whatever job is presented to us, whatever, in this case, the job that we created for ourselves, we hold deep respect for ourselves. We hold deep respect for our ability to live well and to do good work. And because of that, our business is expanding at a much more rapid rate, and our finances are increasing at a much more rapid rate. So I encourage you, man, brother, I encourage you, please have respect for yourself to live a good life and to do good work, because those two things, based in respect, you will live a much better life. You will be respected by men around you, and the elders around you will actually seek your opinions in things. And that, as a young man, makes me feel very much appreciated. It makes me feel much more willing to listen to them and learn from them and to do what I can to support them as they get older. In another case, I was smoking weed for 7 years and it made me retarded. It really did make me retarded, okay? Cannabis is way too potent these days, but I digress. I kept trying to convince myself that I can manage my consumption, but this was the furthest thing from true. It made me lazy, antisocial, and there's not a note from that for men. It made me afraid to approach girls. That's not your case, or it might not be your case. If that's not your case, fantastic. But for you who smokes weed and you find yourself really afraid to approach girls, try putting weed down for a while, and you're gonna find yourself more confident. Obviously, there's more work that needs to be done, but I can't obviously speak for you. So for myself, and if this resonates with you, fantastic. If not, good for you. But put the fucking weed down, because it does make you antisocial. It made me slow, and it's kept me from creating the life that I truly wanted for myself. And what I was telling my subconscious mind was that I am a slave to a substance outside of myself. So I kept finding myself picking it up, even though I knew I needed to stop. Whatever you're stuck on, realize that you got there because you have taken either side of the spectrum and disregarded the other, which kept you from being in the middle. Brother, you need to get honest with yourself, okay? Some questions. Are you replaying the same conversation of being broken up with? Are you repeating the same exact conversation or spin-offs of the conversation you had with your girlfriend about being broken up and in the list of things, or the list of reasons why you weren't good enough or why she broke up with you? Are you? Because if you are, you're doing yourself a massive disservice, because I have been obsessed with the mind for as long as I can remember. And one of the most, there's a couple things, which I'm only going to list this one thing, that has really stuck in my mind for years now, is the fact that your mind does not know the difference between fact and fiction. And the way us men can really experience this as truth is you think about sex and you get a boner. You're in your bed at night, lonely, and you start thinking about the girls that you fucked or the girls you want to fuck, and you get a boner. Your brain does not know the difference between fact and fiction. And I know I said mind first and then brain, and this is kind of what I'm trying to, the mind is not the brain. So I should have said the brain does not know the difference between fact and fiction, and the mind sees fact and fiction both as the same, which is a very interesting point. But you need, and for these other points, understand this, that your mind does not know the facts, your brain does not know the difference between fact and fiction. Are you replaying the same conversation of being fired? Are you hearing your boss saying you suck at work, or you're not, showing enough initiative, or whatever the fucking reason is? Are you replaying that conversation over and over and over again? Do you imagine girls rejecting you all the time? Do you imagine consuming drugs when you are sober? The goal is to stop the swinging, succeeding, failing, winning, losing, and remain neutral to both positive and negative experiences. You need to hold an image of what you want within your mind and become fixated only on this image until it becomes a present tense fact. Present tense fact. Now, really quickly before I move on to the other parts, is that when you use the creative power that God has given you for negative things, or the things that just are not of good rapport, you are only convincing God, the universe, the ethers, the quantum field, whatever term you want to use, in our case, God, that you are only experiencing more and more and more of those things. I can, with full confidence, look at my past and see that the only reason why I've been where I've been is because I kept replaying the same shit over and over and over and over again, man. For days, weeks, months, and years, I kept replaying the same ideas that I wasn't worthy of having a beautiful girlfriend or a functional relationship, or I wasn't able to make money, or that traveling to a different country, which I'm finally going to Asia in 24 days, is too scary, or that I didn't have enough money. And I kept replaying these things over and over and over and over, bro. And nothing ever changed. And I kept experiencing the same thing. And why would I think that I'm going to experience a different life if I can't even hold the mental equivalent of the physical reality that I want to experience? It doesn't make any sense when you really, really, really take the time to think about that. If your entire mind is revolving around all of the negative shit that you're experiencing, how do you expect to take the physical actions to actually bring you to your desired outcome? And if you are this guy who thinks that law of attraction is all about thinking things into existence, bro, I hate to break it to you, but that's one part of law of attraction. Because if you look at the word attraction, you'll find the word action. You must take action in order to attract the life that you want for yourself. And there's two parts of this action, okay? The first part is the mental action. The second part is the physical action in unison with that mental action. So, as we continue though, like I said, you're holding an image. This is the interaction of what you want within your mind, and become fixated only on this image until it becomes a present tense fact. Present tense fact. And you'll know you're ready for that physical action when you, or I'll use my example, is I fixated on being sober until I couldn't take I couldn't take the physical step to consume again. That's the second action. The second action in my case was not going to the dispensary and buying weed. The only reason why I was able to do that though is because I held this mental image, and I had the action of hearing my brothers congratulating me being sober. That was my mental image, was hearing my brother Nehemiah, my brother Jackson, and my mom and my dad, other people in my life just saying congratulations, I'm proud of you. That was it. It's a short mental scene that I rehearsed over and over and over. And I allowed myself to feel what that felt like. And I felt proud. I felt, powerful that I was able to finally put down the very thing that's kind of cursed me for 7 years of my life. And once I felt that it was real, again, you gotta think about the brain not knowing the difference between fact and fiction. Once my brain, even though I never physically experienced this reality, my mind knew it was real. And then my brain started to feel the physical senses of me being sober. And from that place, then I was able to stop myself from going to the dispensary and picking up weed. And now it's been about a month. It's only been like a month and a week, 2 weeks. So it's not that long, but I don't have any desire to pick it up again. I really don't. The other example could just be business. Going from making $50,000 less a year painting myself now to making, last year I did 100 grand, no, 110 grand. This year I'm probably gonna do like 140, 150 grand plus investments. My brain had to find this familiar feeling of having more money than I did in the physical world. And over the past 2 years, that had happened, and now, present tense, physically it's happening. So I rejected the idea of putting THC into my system because I know what it leads to. I know that it leads to all the negative things that I listed above. My goal is to redefine my relationship with THC because, as the masters say, everything is a half-truth. In this case, weed is bad for me, but I also know that it can be good for me. But for now, I choose to avoid it because I need to redefine my relationship with it and kind of really myself, because it's not the weed that was the problem, it was me. If you've had a nasty breakup, see yourself being joyfully single until you become joyfully single. And from that place of being joyfully single, then it's only the right time to find a relationship, in my opinion. Which is kind of irrelevant because my brother was not in a good place and he is now engaged to the girl he found at the time. So you get the point though. If you've been let go, see yourself joyfully and gainfully employed. Brother, you must let go of the past and allow yourself to experience a new reality where you're happy and not consumed by these negative states of being. So once again, if you want to be happy, you must move on. And you move on by changing your allegiance to the negative or to these hyperfixated states of positivity. Remain in the neutral state where you have this image inside of your mind of the outcome that you're looking for. Hold that image until your brain recognizes it as a physical truth. And then God, the universe, the physical world will orient itself around your image. And if you think this stuff is either woo-woo or new agey or whatever, none of this stuff really comes from like a kind of like a hyper spiritual perspective, because my whole emphasis and my when I make certain statements, I look at what's already been done. And in the case of professional athletes, actors, businessmen, specifically people in my personal life, they all, doesn't matter if you're an athlete or a chef or a businessman, they all describe the same fucking thing, brother. And it's the fact that they held that image. They wanted to be in the NFL. They wanted to be a world-renowned chef. They wanted to be a sustainable farmer. They wanted to be a developer, and they went through fucked up shit. They had really hard times in their life, but that image never left them. And then just every single fucking time, bro, it happens. They get to where they want to go. I live in America. You might not live in America. I don't know where you live. A lot of the time, though, the way society has been set up for you and I is for us to fail. And when you take the time to think about how would I say it? When you take the time to think about psychological operations, plainly put, or control mechanisms of society, you will realize that almost everything you're experiencing in your society, wherever you're at, whether consciously or unconsciously, was set up to make you fail. My personal opinion might seem pessimistic, but I have done enough research to know that in America, we are fed all sorts of psychological operations to fuck us in the ass. Royalty. No, royally. Not royalty. Royally. And my point is that so many of us are set up to fail mentally first, because any ideas, beliefs, assumptions that you hold, no matter what they are, will lead you to the equivalent of that. So if you have been fed a bunch of lies that you are worthless, that you are powerless, that the system is against you, that it's impossible to do what it is that you want, then you are never going to be happy, because you are living based in accordance to someone else's system or someone else's design for you. Brother, this is your fucking life. You cannot let yourself be caught up on things that are not meant for you. So, and what I mean by the psychological operations and control mechanism isn't necessarily specific to your experience, but more so this macro perspective of failure, loss, apathy and misery. Like the world's an unfair place, and to a degree I agree with it, but not to the essence in which you don't have the capacity and the ability to live a better life. Not at all. So I hope that you can find patterns yourself to see that the society that you and I live in many, many, many ways is designed to make you fail mentally first. The idea of spiritual warfare is very much a real thing, but not in the ways that we probably think they are, but in ways that are so subtle and so secretive. Music, movies, TV shows, authors. Be very, 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 very mindful of what you choose to put inside of your brain, because the more you consume negative things or hyper narcissistic positivity, the more you're going to find misery in your life. Because if you're hyper negative and you're a pessimistic little dickhead, you're going to stop yourself from even starting a business or going and pursuing a woman or whatever it is that you want. And that's going to lead you to depression, anxiety, anger, and so forth. And then if you're a narcissistic asshole and only think about yourself, you're neglecting the fact that your actions are causing people pain, and you're living in this little echo chamber that's only fulfilling yourself. So you might have this positive, functioning looking life, but in reality, if you actually take off your narcissistic glasses and you look around you, you're going to realize that you've hurt a lot of fucking people and you've disregarded the fact that there's a lot of shit that needs to be fixed in this world. That in itself is negative. What maybe started out as positive turned deeply, deeply negative. And I think specifically in the spiritual community, that is absolutely rampant. This idea of being selfish. You need to focus on yourself first, which is true, because you can't be selfless without being selfish first. But there's a balance, man. Like, if you are only thinking about yourself and only yourself, you're narcissistic, and you're not helping anyone. You're not improving the world. You're not doing anything to actually be selfless, because you're only doing things for yourself. So I encourage you, brother, to find the middle point in law of polarity by understanding that both sides of the swing are going to bring you to the other side. And the way you get out of this endless cycle is to remain neutral, to hold an image of the desired outcome that you want for yourself until your brain recognizes it as a physical truth. And just like a tree grows after a seed is planted, just like a piece of corn, a raspberry, anything that you look outside of yourself there's a seed time and harvest. Things take time. We live in a day and age where we have instantaneous dopamine hits. As much as this is amazing, it's also extremely negative, because if we are so addicted to short-term dopamine hits, we expect short-term results. But please understand that when it comes to your life, dude, your life, your existence, your well-being, things are going to take time. Just like it takes 50 years for a tree to get to its peak, it's going to take you a long time to get to your peak. And take that with a grain of salt, because I believe, in my personal experience, now that I have this momentum, things are taking much, 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 much quicker for them to harvest. But it starts with time. So allow yourself to have the time for your reality to change in the ways that you want for yourself. Because if you start looking around and asking why are things still the same way, you're only telling, again, think about what I was talking about earlier. What we were talking about is that you're only telling your subconscious mind that you don't have what it is that you want. So if I could give a piece of advice, is what I said. Hold that image inside of your mind until it becomes a present tense fact. You do this by identifying with it already being a situation that you've experienced, tricking your mind into thinking it's already happened. And if you can think about sex and have this, almost vivid experience of having sex with a woman, and you should be at least finding yourself having sex with a woman in that case, then why can't it be the same way for a business or friendships or anything and everything? My opinion is that God, the idea of God is your imagination. God is your consciousness. God is the very essence of who you are. So I have full faith in my natural ability to find happiness by remaining neutral and focusing on these inner images. That is all I do. The people in my life are byproducts of my mental activity. The business in my life is a byproduct of my mental activity. Me going to Asia is a byproduct of my mental activity of seeing myself in Asia already, and everything that happens here drives me to take physical action out here. Brother, you got this. You are happy. You are happy. Accept it.